Right, buddy, welcome back to your latest Manchester United news. In this video, we'll be talking the latest on Sandro Tonali and his price tag. There's also some update on Bruno. We've got some links. We've got some other interesting stories about Diamande, Manchester United going for two midfielders. And yeah, we'll talk about that and have a conversation. We've got some talks on ONANA as well. So don't forget, leave a like, comment, and let's get into it. So, Manchester United are obviously interested in Sandro Tonali, and Newcastle are reportedly demanding £100 million for Sandro Tonali, with Manchester United viewing the Italian as the possible successor to Casemiro. Now, listen, what I want to say on Tonali is all action midfield. I'm not going to keep saying it. For me, if I had to pick him or Guimaraes, I would probably go with him just with the fact that he's a bit younger. I think he operates more in a deeper line position. Don't get me wrong, I'll be happy with either of them. I think with Tonali, you get that composure, you get that quality. And again, he's a proper number six. And I think the price tag is obviously going to be 100 mil. It's one of Newcastle's most important players. I think that midfield, we've seen it on, what day was it, Wednesday, how good that midfield is, how powerful, competitive, strong, energetic that is. And that comes down from Tonali, who is a big component of that midfield. And I think for me, he would be definitely someone up there that I'd look at. He is a class midfielder. £100 million, apparently United, though we talked about it the other day, have a £200 million budget anyway. So, listen, let's say we have £200 million. You spend £100 million on Tonali, you have £100 million left. You go, say, get Tyler Adams for 40, and you go and get, Baleba for 60. I don't think we'll get three midfielders. I think we need three. And what has been reported as well from Andy Mitten, who is very, very credible, he said Manchester United looking at a few midfielders in Spain who would absolutely raise eyebrows. So who are they? Camavinga? Agume, I think, is someone who's been linked. Unahi. I don't know sort of the Spanish league that well, but hopefully we get some more reports on that. I think the midfield situation, there's going to be a lot of talks about it now from now into the summer, which is expected and should happen. I think we're in desperate need of any midfielder coming in, and obviously these players that we've been linked to are the highest pedigree. In terms of going for someone in the Spanish league, I think it will probably be someone who's younger because, listen, it's all about getting the balance. I think Premier League experience is good, and that's what United want to go out and get. That's been reported before. Premier experience, that sort of quality is brilliant. And then you also have sort of potentially younger options, looking at a league like a Lenny Euro sort of type, or La Liga or the French league. I already said the French league, Serie A, other leagues abroad. But I think we definitely do need to bring in one Premier League experience or potentially two experienced midfielders, because we've seen in that midfield position and any position in the team, United have signed the best up and coming, and it just hasn't worked. You look at Anthony, it just didn't work. A lot of money invested. Sancho, the same thing. Højlund, the same thing. There's been too much, Onana being one of them. There's been too many examples where United have signed players where it hasn't worked. In midfield, Ugarte has been the main one. So, listen, Tonali being 100 mil is not a surprise. In terms of two of the midfielders, we know that's sort of the talk that's going to be happening at the moment. I'm excited to see who they bring in, and we know it's going to be a huge overhaul. I'm going to have you covered here. We do a lot of profiles and deep dives into some sort of players that we are going to bring in with some stats and stuff as they get closer to the window. But ultimately, as of now, Manchester United, Tonali, and are looking at midfielders in Spain, and they will be looking at a lot of midfielders abroad. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about is Christopher Vivell is putting forward Yan Diamande for United. He is one of the leading targets for the left wing position. Now, Diamande is 19. He's a very good player. Listen, Vivell sort of knows the German league very, very well. He's worked with obviously a lot of the teams, the Red Bull teams, as well. He's a very, very good very good player. Plays under a very good manager, and I think he's definitely an option to look at. I think, is he the sort of player that you bring in and be your starting left winger? Probably not. But is he someone as an option who can be brought in, integrate slowly into that first team, and then potentially next season or the season after, when we're in Europe, get some minutes and then be slowly integrated into that team, rotating with likes of Cunha, Dorgu, and these sorts of players potentially. I think the price is something that's ridiculous. I think £100 million for someone at 19 is just silly, but that is just the market we operate in. Not saying that he is going to go for 100 mil, but it's sort of today's market that we've been looking at. I think he is a quality player. I think the talent that he has is very, very good. He's still a raw talent that needs to be developed into something. At only being 19, you don't expect him to be a finished player. I think Ravel's obviously someone who is the head of recruitment at United, so he's going to be putting forward a lot of the big name players. And I think he's definitely a player who has a lot of interest, has a lot of quality. Liverpool have been linked to him to a potential Salah replacement. I think he will be someone who definitely moves this summer, and the quality that he has is quite solid, so we'll see what happens there. Mason Mount, Manchester United. Mason Mount has no intention to leave United this summer. The attacking midfielder feels he still has plenty to improve at Old Trafford and is currently focusing on trying to ensure he can remain fit in the match day squad until the remainder of the season. Listen, I love Mason Mount. I think he's a very good player. I think on his day he can be someone who can have a moment of brilliance. He's been part of some big results for United and scored some big goals. I think if you look at football, and which obviously we are looking at, but if you look at sort of the best players, availability is the best ability, and ultimately I'm going to continue to say this on Mason Mount. We can't rely on him to be in the team for a run of games. If you look at Bruno's biggest sort of asset in terms of forget the goals, the assists, the passes, is his availability. Like, he is ridiculously good at staying fit, and I think Mason Mount is just unfortunate. I think he's a decent player. He's on a lot of money, and he's someone I'd look at cashing in. You can't rely on someone who's not going to be available. Obviously, I know he'll have moments in the team because I know he's a good player. I think he's someone who's got a lot of quality. I think the talent, no doubt's there. There was a lot of pressure on him when he come to the club for 60 mil. Has been ruined with injury. I like Mason Mount, but I do think it's probably time to sell. Now, on Bruno Fernandes, Manchester United plan to hold contract talks with Portuguese midfielder Fernandes after the World Cup. Bruno Fernandes could set for a huge new deal at United as they prepare to offer him a contract with £400,000 per week to secure him his future at the club for another 2 years. Listen, Bruno's on £350,000 a week. He's got a few years left on his deal. I think £400 is ridiculous, but he's a player who's worth that. And I think if that's what's going to take for him to stay at the club, United would do that. It does obviously go against the fact that they said they don't want to kind of change their wage structure to something ridiculous. But ultimately, Bruno is an exception, in my opinion. I think he's that good of a player. He's a world-class player. Got 14. I think he's got 21 goal contributions this season for United. He's never got below 20 in a Manchester United shirt, and look at sort of the teams that he's been in and sort of transition, like the amount of managers transition that United's been on. Like £400,000 a week, he's one of those rare players that probably does deserve it, and I think I would love to see him at the club for another 2 seasons. He's one of my favourite players to watch. Yes, he is infuriating at times, we're not going to deny that, but the quality that he has is ridiculous. Now, on Andre Onana to end, Manchester United demanded €45 million to €50 million to sell Onana on a permanent basis. Trabzonspor has shown their interest in making the move permanent, but their vice president has publicly stated that the valuation is too high and unaffordable for the club. As the figure for Manchester United for the purchase of Onana is in the range of €45 million to €50 million, our president has sincerely informed the community in line with Trabzonspor realities. If no permanent transfer happens, he could return to United as a backup or seek a move to another major European league or another English club. Listen, Onana has to go. There's no chance in him being integrated. United don't want him integrated into the team. I get he's a good character, but he's not a good goalkeeper. And this is not me saying that in terms of without any evidence, that the proof's in the pudding. We've seen many mistakes he's made for Manchester United over the years, and he's cost us Champions League football. I think the Onana that we saw at Inter and Ajax wasn't the Onana we got to see at United, and that is sad, but I think there's a quality player there, just not at Manchester United, and I'm happy with Le Mans and the way that he's doing, and I don't think there's any need to change. But that has been your latest Manchester United news. Let me know your thoughts.